About what should be a thesis and what should be a dissertation. And the definition of a thesis according to the Ched order is that a thesis is theory validation, meaning there is an existing theory and you just test the theory. That will constitute a thesis. A dissertation, on the other hand, is you formulate your own theory or you develop your own theory and then at the same time validate your own theory. So to make this distinction very clear, new product of Philips. So in thesis, you validate an existing theory. In dissertation, you do two things. First, you formulate your own theory. And then, at the same time, you validate the theory. So, which one is more difficult? Thesis or dissertation? Dissertation, because you have to develop a new theory, not just validate an existing theory. Okay, so to give you an example of theory validation, so thesis, no? Are you familiar with Engel's theory in economics? Engel's theory says that as your income increases, the proportion of money you spend on food decreases. Okay? So as income increases, why? Does it mean that if you get rich, you will not eat anymore? Who tend to be like that. When they get rich, they do not eat anymore.
That's why I'm wondering why they're like that. I have a few friends whom I can start as a classmate on
What?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This has nothing to do with your diet or nothing to do with your practices, no? As you get rich. And to see this, that it is true, no? Suppose now that at present your income is like 5,000 pesos per month. Okay, so your income now is 5,000. Okay, and then your food expenditure, let's say per month, is about 2,000. Okay, so the proportion of food expenditure, so percentage of food over your total income is 2,000 divided by 5,000, about 40%, right? About 40%. Okay? Suddenly, your head or your president decided to promote you, and then your salary has increased fourfold. Okay? So now your income is 20,000. You get teacher. Okay? Will you now eat more because you have more income? No. More or less, it will be the same. Right? 2,000 pesos. Or perhaps, add 1,000 more. Okay? So let's say 3,000.
Change of lifestyle.
Okay? So percentage of food will become 3,000 by 20,000. Right? Which is about 15%. Right? So, the expenditure, the percentage of food expenditure has decreased from 40% to 15% despite the fact that your income has increased fourfold. This is Engel's theory. So what thesis can we derive from this? We want to validate Engel's theory. So you can probably ask, is this theory true for all cultures? Is this the same theory that will work if we now consider culture? No one knows the answer, no? So we can validate the theory in the context of different cultures. For example, does it work in the Ilocano culture? Who are Ilocanos here? No one? Ako lang sa Ilocano? The Ilocanos, we are very famous for being stingy. So, if our income will increase fourfold, our food expenditure will decrease fourfold also. Oh, anak man ng Ilocano. Mga kuripot, mga kuano. So, that might not work, no, in the context of the Ilocano culture. On the other hand, if you look at Damotikal, the culture of the Ilonggos, opposite po sa Ilocano. Sa Ilonggo po, opposite. Way kwarta, asib dehan kwarta sa ginikaon. Damotikal gidaw. So, that might not also work in that culture. Or in the culture of some Buangueño. This might not work. Do you follow? So those are interesting thesis topics. If Engel's theory will still work in the context of different cultures. Okay, so that will constitute a thesis. Now, a dissertation is quite different, totally different. You will have to formulate a new theory. Like for example, Marvin and I were discussing the result of the PPI versus quality of life graph. And then we develop a new theory, we call it the macroeconomic web theory. No? And this is something new in the literature. It's a totally new theory which probably will revise existing classical economic theories. Diba? So bago na gid siya, I'm having difficulty what language to use with you. To be honest, I don't know how to. What language should I use? Cebuano or Tagalog? Kung kayo mag-Tagalog, kumahiwi man aking Tagalog. Although I come from Ilocos and my mother is from Bulacan, pure Tagalog. But I grew up in Mindanao, so I do not like anymore to listen to Tagalog. When I go back to my home province in Bulacan, they say that my Tagalog is already crooked. Should I use Tagalog or Cebuano? Or I'm more at home with Cebuano. I don't like to be under imperialist Manila.
Right.
So, mag-Tagalog ako, yung mag-Tagalog ako ng katulad ni Duterte na unlapi lang ang alam naman. So, magbuhat tayo. Ayan. Magbuhat tapos Tagalog, kirain na ba na? Alsat. Okay. Maggawa tayo ng teorya at mag-validate din tayo ng ating teorya. Okay? So that's our objective. To develop our own theory and to validate our own theory. Okay. So please continue. Now, the confirmatory data analysis that you are used to has the following disadvantages. No? It's limited to the testing and validation of known theories, meaning you should really know the theories because you have to validate them in order to write a thesis. It limits your creativity and the extent of innovations that the researcher can do. Okay, because you're limited to those theories. And the beauty of your research will rest with how well the researcher can find theories to test in the literature. It encourages repetitive and stereotype graduate researches. Do you agree? Your researches in the graduate school are paulit-ulit, pabalik-balik. No? The relationship of academic performance and math teacher. The relationship between anxiety and interest. The relationship between determinants of so and so, leadership in, di ba mga na inyong mga kuano?
Yes.
Very stereotype. And